All right, in this video, we are going to continue to set up our database application. So we have got the controller, at least the skeleton of the controller out, and we have set up the model with the observable list. And we added some fake data in here just to get the ball rolling on the model. Later on, we're going to go back and add some more functionality to that. The thing is now what we want to do in this video is actually get it so that our application is showing some of this data in the observable list in this table view. Okay, and so what we want to do in this part, we'll focus pretty much solely on that part. So going back to the controller, right, what we want to do is to add an initialize method down at the bottom, or anywhere in there actually, it's fine, and mark it with the @fxml tag, and then it's going to be public void initialize, like so. Okay, and so what this initialized method is going to do is basically just let us link up some of the do some of the setup that we would do. You probably could do this in the fxml file as well, but in this case, I think it probably would take like directly editing the fxml file instead of. I don't know of a way to do it in Scene Builder. That doesn't mean there's not, but as far as I remember, you would have to edit the fxml file to do what I'm about to do here. So I'm just gonna kind of do it this way. So what I'm gonna do is to set up the columns. In each of the columns, the one for ID, the one for last name, one for first name, one for email. I'm going to set them up through a method called set cell value factory. Okay, and you can see that the set cell value factory, it basically is going to tell Java how to set up the column. This ID column, okay, it expects an observable value, right, to be returned. You can set those up in the employee class. We didn't. We just did the employee class really basically. So what we're going to have to do here is to create inside this a new property value factory object. All right, and we will have to tell it, right, this property value factory, basically you can think about it as producing values, right, for this column. So we need to tell this, basically we're telling this column, hey, where are you going to find the values that are going to go in there? And we're telling them, hey, watch this property that we're going to set up, and this property is related to the employee class and a string field, and we're going to tell it the name of the field as a string in here that we want it to watch, right? So, and that is ID. Okay, if you mouse over this property value factory, you can see that we need the import for that. So it's property value factory in javafx.scene.control.cell. Okay, so basically what we did was set up this property that watches this ID field in here, okay, in the employee class. That's what is going on in here. And then we told the table view, hey, or actually the column, hey, this is where your values are going to come from. They are going to come from this property, this field of the employee class. And we're going to need to do that for each one of the columns. So last name column dot set cell factory, cell value factory. And inside here, we're going to have to set up a new property value factory. Employee string, and we are going to tell it to watch the last name field. And one for the first name. And for this one, we're going to do first name. And then one for the email. Property value factory, employee string, and then email. Let's see, property value factory. I forget the Y on this one. All right, so far so good. All right, and so now we've told each column where its data is coming from, right? And then now the next thing that we need to do is to tell the table view where to look, right, for the employee objects. All right, and so the table view, we called our table view. So it's going to be table view dot set items. And then what we need to do is to tell it where to look for the observable list. Our observable list is over here in the model, right? Remember, the model is the data manager for the class, so that's the, according to the MVC pattern, if we're following that, that's where that should be located over there. So we need to get this employees observable list out of the database model. It's marked as private, right? So what we're going to need to do is to add a couple of a get method out of there if we're going to do it as private. So generate getters and setters, and we're going to do that for employee. We probably don't need the set method, but I'm just going to add it in there. Okay. All right, so we've made this so that the employees observable list is accessible right outside of that, and so now we can remember we already added a field for the model up here, so, and it's called model, so it would be model.get employees, and so that would go to the model, fish out that observable list that's in the model, and then table view now is going to watch that list, and every time that list is changed, right, it should be reflected in the table view itself. So let's go ahead and check everything to see if it's okay. All right, and now you can see when I run it, right, then now the data is in that table view. Okay. All right, and so that is now we have finally linked up the table view and this observable list that's in our model. So it's there, and every time this gets updated, the observable list gets updated. It should update in our. Let me just double check that. So I had two of those things running. It should update in our table view here. Okay, so that's how to link up the table view and the observable list in there. In the next video, we will go ahead and finish most of this of the controller, and then start working on the SQL part of the database model.